The city that Las Vegas laughed at for 30 years just had its best business year in a decade. It wasn't New York. It wasn't Miami. It was Atlantic City, the place politicians gave up on, the place comedians made a punchline, the place that was supposed to be dead and buried. In November 2025 alone, Atlantic City's casino revenue jumped 14.2%, 14 times the pace of the Strip, despite being half the size. And the Las Vegas executives? They called it a challenging environment. That's what CEOs say when they don't want you to know they screwed up. How did a dead city come back to life, while the king is quietly bleeding out? The answer starts at the darkest point in Atlantic City's history. It was a mass exodus that began in 2014, when the world believed Atlantic City had truly been wiped off the entertainment map. To understand why what's happening now is so shocking, you need to remember what it used to be before Las Vegas went global, before Macau even existed. If you were a middle-class American on the East Coast looking to place a bet, there was only one destination: Atlantic City. In 1978, New Jersey legalized gambling. Resorts Casino was the first to open, and in its very first year, it made more money than any casino in Nevada. That wasn't luck. It was a monopoly. Through the 80s and 90s, the Trump Taj Mahal opened, promising to be the eighth wonder of the world. Millions from New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, people who didn't want or couldn't fly to Vegas, drove in every weekend. Atlantic City was the working man's Vegas. But then, that monopoly turned into complacency, and complacency led to disaster. In less than 24 months, between 2014 and 2016, 5 colossal icons went dark. The Atlantic Club, the Showboat, Trump Plaza, the Trump Taj Mahal, and even the Revel, a $2.4 billion casino that had only been open for 2 years. Thousands of jobs vanished, and a third of the city's hotel rooms sat empty. By 2016, Atlantic City wasn't just struggling. It had become a cautionary tale for the entire industry. And Las Vegas didn't miss the chance to capitalize on the collapse. While Atlantic City was picking up the pieces, Las Vegas was rewriting its own definition. They poured billions into a new message. Vegas is no longer just about casinos. Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world. They brought in the NFL's Raiders to the $1.9 billion Allegiant Stadium. They built the Sphere, the largest LED screen on the planet. They brought Formula One to the Strip. The message was clear. We are not Atlantic City. We are too big to fail. We diversified, we modernized, and we don't need to rely on middle-class slot players anymore. Vegas spent billions to prove it was nothing like Atlantic City. But somewhere between the glamorous F1 races and the $50 a night resort fees, something went wrong. And just as Vegas turned its back on its core values, it accidentally created a vacuum that the dead city of Atlantic City is quietly filled with the very customers Vegas left behind. Let's look at the hard data. In November 2025, casino winnings in Atlantic City jumped 5.7% year over year, bringing in $236.8 million in a single month. In January 2026, it rose another 1.6%, setting a new record for the month of January. For the first 11 months of 2025, New Jersey cleared over $6.3 billion in gaming revenue, the best performance in over a decade. This isn't a fluke. This is a sustained trend being confirmed quarter after quarter. Meanwhile, on the Las Vegas Strip, the self-proclaimed gambling capital of the world, the story is the exact opposite. RevPAR, the most critical metric for measuring hotel revenue per available room, has plummeted by 8%. Tourism to the Strip is down 7.5%. Not because Vegas is less accessible, but because people are voting with their feet. And gaming revenue for January 2026? It's down 11% compared to last year. 11%. Here's the most important thing to understand. Las Vegas gaming revenue is currently being propped up by fewer people losing more money per visit. That isn't growth. That's a warning sign. When a market shrinks its customer base but maintains revenue by extracting more from the few who remain, that is a model eating itself from the inside out. Economists call it extractive growth. To the average person, it's just wringing the lemon dry. So, who is being pushed out? In 2026, the average resort fee on the Strip ranges from $45 to $65 per night. tacked onto the room rate you already paid. Parking, which was free at every major casino for decades, now costs between $15 and $45 a day. And if you want to eat dinner at a strip restaurant, you are paying 34% more than you did in 2019 for the same meal in the same chair. 34% in 6 years. National inflation during that same period was roughly 23%. This means Vegas is hiking prices far faster than the cost of living, and they're calling it enhancing the guest experience. In contrast, the Hard Rock Atlantic City doesn't charge mandatory resort fees on many of its booking tiers. You pay for the room and you get the room. There are no hidden charges on the bill, no massive authorization holds on your credit card, no surprises at the 11 a.m. checkout. Furthermore, Atlantic City has pivoted to a stable front, legal gaming. This allows everyday players to participate from the comfort of home. No airfare, no resort fees, no $40 parking. This is exactly where the middle class, the people Vegas abandoned, is migrating. Vegas used to be the place where a factory worker from Ohio could feel like a king for a weekend. In 2026, that same worker is charged $50 just to park his car before he even walks into the casino. And here is what Vegas executives will never admit publicly. They don't want that worker back. This isn't an accident. This is a calculated strategy. Over the last decade, corporate giants like MGM Resorts and Caesars Entertainment, both backed by Wall Street investment funds, have quietly repositioned the Las Vegas Strip for a very specific target: the high net worth individual, the massive event, and the corporate traveler. They want the expense account. They don't want your personal savings account. In 2025, Vegas hosted its second Formula One Grand Prix. The cheapest ticket? $2,500. They host title fights, NFL games, and corporate conventions with tens of thousands of attendees. These events bring in massive revenue in a very short window, exactly what a quarterly earnings report needs to satisfy Wall Street. Asterisk, but here's the part they don't show in the earnings call. Outside of those peak weekends, these billion-dollar attractions are struggling to justify their existence. While Vegas sinks $2.3 billion into projects like the MSG Sphere, which is already struggling to fill its 2026 calendar, it reveals a deeper problem. These billion-dollar bets aren't building consistency. They're chasing moments. And moments don't pay the bills year-round. Asterisk, a leaked internal document from a major casino operator, cited by the Wall Street Journal in 2024, described a middle-income segment of tourists as low-value visitors. Not traditional guests. Not the backbone of the industry, but low value. That is a language in Excel spreadsheet, not the language of hospitality. And here is a problem no executive on the Strip will say on camera: massive events don't happen every week. Formula One is once a year. The Super Bowl isn't coming back in 2026. Between those peaks, you have empty hotel rooms being discounted to fill space, quieter casino floors, and those negative RevPAR numbers we just discussed. Atlantic City doesn't have Formula One. It doesn't have the Super Bowl. It doesn't have Taylor Swift in a 65,000-seat stadium. But Atlantic City is what Vegas is losing every single day. Repeat customers who come back month after month, year after year, because they feel welcome, not because they've been categorized as low value in a corporate database. Asterisk, and here's the structural advantage Vegas cannot replicate. Atlantic City doesn't need you to book a flight. It just needs you to get in your car. Within a 4-hour drive, there are over 50 million people from Philadelphia, New York, to Washington, D.C., who can come and go whenever they want. No airfare, no planning weeks in advance, no commitment to a $1,500 weekend. That's not just convenience. That's a fortress. And it's one Vegas can't break into. Asterisk, if the story sounds familiar, it should. This is exactly what Atlantic City did wrong in the 2010s. Betting on short-term growth, ignoring loyal customers, and paying for it with 8 casino closures in 4 years. Except this time, the one standing on the edge of the cliff isn't Atlantic City. It's Las Vegas. And for the first time in decades, it's repeating the exact mistake it once survived. If you think the people running the hotels on the Strip are hotel people, you haven't been paying attention to the fine print. These are no longer hospitality companies making hospitality decisions. These are financial instruments optimizing quarterly profits for shareholders who may never step foot on a casino floor. To understand why your $150 room now costs $250 after fees, you have to look at the names on the deeds. Most of the land and the buildings on the Las Vegas Strip are now owned by REITs, real estate investment trusts like Vici Properties. Giants like MGM Resorts and Caesars Entertainment no longer own the dirt they sit on. They lease it. They are tenants, and their rent is not cheap. Every single day, these operators must generate massive amounts of cash just to cover the lease to Vici and pay out dividends to private equity firms like Apollo Global Management, which hold a massive stake in the industry. When you see a $60 resort fee, you see corporate greed. But from the perspective of a Wall Street spreadsheet, that fee is a mathematical necessity. It is the only way to service the debt and keep the 24/7 machine running. They aren't raising prices to improve your stay. They are raising prices because the financial structure they've built demands it. The hospitality part of the business has become secondary to the debt service part. The consequences of this shift don't appear on an MGM financial report. They appear on the paycheck of a server at an off-strip diner. They appear in the monthly revenue of a small faux restaurant 2 blocks away that relies on the common man, tourist, who no longer comes. The Culinary Workers Union Local 226, representing over 60,000 workers, has repeatedly warned that their members' incomes are shrinking. When the middle-class tourist disappears, the tips disappear. When the comp programs for regular players are gutted to save a few cents on the dollar, the dealers feel it first. Those who built Las Vegas from the ground up, the housekeepers, the taxi drivers, the $25 table dealers, are the ones being sacrificed to the altar of the quarterly earnings call. And instead of course correcting, Las Vegas is doubling down. They are currently building new high-end hotel towers with starting rates of $300 a night, while letting maintenance slip in the older wings of their existing properties. They are shrinking rewards programs for loyal players, making them less favorable for the very people who kept the lights on for decades. Most shockingly, while Atlantic City and New Jersey have embraced the digital age with a robust iGaming market that serves the everyday player, Nevada has left that entire market open to its competitors. They know they are losing the middle class, and they are choosing not to keep them. It is a strategy that mirrors the exact mistakes Atlantic City made a decade ago, chasing the whale while starving the school of fish that actually sustains the ecosystem. History is repeating itself, but the stakes are much higher this time. Vegas is not dying. The lights are still on. The hotels are still standing. But Vegas is choosing. It is methodically, deliberately choosing which customers it wants and which ones it is willing to lose. And it has made its decision. It has chosen not to choose you. Atlantic City is not winning because it became something better. It is winning because Vegas handed it the market. The middle class didn't rediscover Atlantic City. They were pushed there by resort fees, by parking charges, by the quiet signal that they were no longer the intended guest. Atlantic City simply opened a door Vegas chose to close. If these numbers hold through 2026, and right now, there is no sign they won't, we are watching a slow-motion power shift in American gambling. The question is not whether Atlantic City is back. The numbers have already answered that. The question is whether Las Vegas executives will notice before it's too late. Based on everything we've seen, they won't. If you've been to Vegas in the last 2 years and felt like something was different, you weren't imagining it. The data proves it. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it.